안녕하세요. 원다입니다. MIT 대학은 세계 최고 공과대학으로 알려져 있습니다. 이 미국 MIT 대학에서 이민진 작가 초청 강연을 진행한 적이 있는데요. 공과대학에서 인문 작가의 초청 강연을 진행한다는 것은 참 이례적인 일이지 않을까 하는 생각이 듭니다. 그만큼 이민진 작가가 파친코라는 작품으로 미국에서 일으킨 반향이 얼마나 컸는지를 짐작해 볼 수 있습니다. 이민진 초청 강연을 소개하던 MIT 정치학 교수 딕 세뮤얼스는 이민진 작가가 미국 특목고인 뉴욕 브롱스 과학고등학교를 졸업했기 때문에 MIT 많은 사람들이 이민진 작가에게 특별히 관심이 많음을 언급하는데요. 브롱스 과학고등학교는 노벨상 수상자를 8명이나 배출한 영재고등학교로 워싱턴 포스트에 의해 22개 미국 내 최고의 고등학교에 선정된 공립학교이기도 합니다. 과학 영재고등학교인 만큼 수학과학에만 특화된 학교가 아닐까 생각하겠지만 브롱스 과학고등학교의 신입생 선발 시험은 수학과학뿐만 아니라 언어 능력까지 수반되어야 통과할 수 있는 시험이라고 합니다. 수학을 잘하려면 논리적인 해답을 이끌어낼 수 있는 이성적인 사고와 추리력이 밑바탕이 되어야 하기 때문에 브롱스 과학고에서는 논리를 수학을 비롯한 대부분의 학문의 필수적인 덕목으로 여긴다고 합니다. 브롱스 과학고는 미국의 철학자이자 교육학자였던 존 듀이의 모든 위대한 과학적 진보는 엉뚱한 상상력의 산물이라는 명언을 학교 교훈으로 삼고 있기 때문에 인문과학 교육도 중시한다고 합니다. 미국 뉴저지주에서 한인사상 처음으로 탄생한 필립권 뉴저지주 대법원 판사도 이민진 작가처럼 브롱스 과학고 출신이라고 합니다. 이민진의 파친코 작품이 수많은 데이터와 인터뷰로 탄생한 만큼 과학적, 학문적, 역사적 설득력이 확보된 것이 전 세계인의 마음을 사로잡은 또 하나의 강점이 아니었을까 하고 생각하게 됩니다. 초청 강연에 참석한 이민진 작가는 MIT 교수와 학생 등 청중들에게 그들 모두를 한국인으로 만들기 위해 파친코를 썼다고 말합니다. 오직 문학을 통해서만 가능한 일이라며 논리적으로 그들을 설득하고 그들 모두가 한국인이 되어보기를 권했습니다. 멋있고 당당하며 유머러스까지한 그녀의 강연 매너가 그녀를 더욱 빛나 보이게 했으며 그녀가 한국인이라는 사실을 매우 자랑스럽게 만들었습니다. 이 초청 강연은 3가지 과정으로 이루어졌는데 작가의 강연, 작가와의 대화, 그리고 청중과의 대화로 약 1시간 30분 동안 이루어진 강연이었습니다. 이번 영상에서는 이민진 작가의 강연 중 일부를 발췌하여 소개하겠습니다. 작가와의 대화 및 청중과의 대화는 다음 영상을 통해서 소개하도록 하겠습니다. 함께 보시죠.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dick Samuels, and I'm a professor of political science here at MIT and direct the Center for International Studies. And it is a great pleasure to welcome everyone here this evening, and it's a special pleasure to introduce Minjin Lee to you. Minjin was born in Seoul. She emigrated to Queens when she was 7 years old. And it's likely, I think, of special interest to those of us at MIT that she's a graduate of the Bronx High School of Science. And that she was inducted into the Bronx High School of Science Hall of Fame. Sadly, though, she didn't tread the well-worn path from the Bronx to Cambridge at MIT. She made the mistake. She went to Yale. And at Yale, she majored in history and won prizes for both fiction and nonfiction writing. No surprise there for those of you who know her work. After law school at Georgetown and then practicing law for several years, she decided to write full-time. Her 2007 debut novel, Free Food for Millionaires, was an enormous success, critically acclaimed, quite brilliant, and I commend it to you. But as the size of this audience indicates very clearly, many of you are well aware of her superb latest novel, Pachinko, which was written while she lived in Japan and published last year. It was a finalist for the National Book Award. It was on the top 10 best books of 2017 lists, well, for everyone. It was the New York Times had it on the list, BBC, New York Public Library, 70 additional lists, all included Minjin's Pachinko. She's been awarded the Guggenheim Fellowship. She's now at Radcliffe with a scholarship there, and I feel very, very grateful that she accepted the invitation to come here. We've been conspiring to make this happen for more than a year, since really almost the moment I picked up the book and then couldn't put it down. And I'm delighted that it's finally going to happen. Let me now, finally, invite Minjin Lee to come to the podium and begin the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's true, I went to Bronx Science, and I was thinking, I am qualified to speak at MIT because I went to Bronx Science, and I wanted to ask anybody here who took BC Calculus Anybody here take BC Calculus? Okay. See, I took BC Calculus. And on my AP exam, I got a 2. That's what you get for signing your name. So that's why I didn't go to MIT. I was the humanities token at Bronx Science. I was there mostly to make people feel better about their own grades. I was going to talk about a couple of things today, but then I decided to shift gears because I was so disturbed by President Trump's recent call to consider removing birthright citizenship. And I thought that perhaps we should talk about peace and literature instead. In the March of 1976, my parents, 2 sisters, and I immigrated to America. Now, back in Seoul, my father worked as a white-collar marketing executive for cosmetics, and my mother was a piano teacher. And when they first came here, they didn't have much money, so for the first year, my father operated a newspaper stand. So he sold lottery tickets and candy in the Daily News. He did that for a year, and then later on, he opened a small wholesale jewelry business in which he sold costume jewelry, like $2 earrings, to street peddlers. And it was a really tiny little store, and it was kind of disgusting. But he worked there, and he put us through school. Now, if he was a solid middle-class person in Seoul, South Korea, and so was my mother, why would he come to the United States to sell scratch-off lottery tickets and to serve people who are former prisoners who worked as street peddlers in the subway? Why would he do that? Why did we come to America? And to answer that question, I need to tell you a little bit about my family. So my father, when the Korean War began in 1950, was 16 years old. And in December of 1950, when the Communist Army was conscripting boys, my grandmother panicked. And what she did was, she used all of her sharp elbows, and she secured passage for my father and his older brother on an American refugee ship, a warship that would take refugees from Wonsan, which is now in North Korea, down to Busan, which is now in South Korea. And she thought that she would see her boys in maybe a week, a few days. And as you know, she never saw her boys again. My mother is a native of Busan, which is the southernmost tip of South Korea now. And her father was a Presbyterian minister. And as a Presbyterian minister, he also served as a headmaster for an orphanage school. And who were these orphans? These were Korean children who had lost their parents in the bombings of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and who were repatriated back to Korea. As you know, the Korean Armistice Agreement, signed in July of 1953, ceased the hostilities between the two nations. But to this day, there is no peace between these two nations. So why did my parents immigrate to America? Why did they? Immigrating was not my mother's idea. She had a nice job. Her family was intact. But she had asked her older brother, Uncle John, my Uncle John, if he would sponsor our immigration with the Immigration Act of 1965. Because for my father, war was not an abstraction. War was something that had made him lose his mother, his sisters, and his home permanently. War was something that could take a 5,000-year-old civilized nation and slice it into two. War was something that could separate families forever. It could make children into orphans in a flash of light and smoke. My father would not risk another war if he could help it, and the immigration laws allowed me to be here today. Peace is the very opposite of war. Whether it is for several hundred years or a dozen, When men do not fight, men and women can build paved roads. They can invent printing presses. They can cure the suffering of people. They could perfect the art of paper making. They could design beautiful buildings which exist today. And they can gaze at the beauty of flowers. When there is no war, we fall in love, we bear children, we dance at weddings. We can hold on to our loved ones without fear of loss. We can turn our swords into plowshares. Today, according to the United Nations Human Commissioner of Refugees, there are 68.5 million displaced people roaming the globe searching for peace. 68.5 million people. And why? Why should we care about them at all? And who are they to us? Perhaps the job of the writer is to ask, could they be us? Could they be us? We have to ask these questions. How could we not? Refugees are not an abstraction. I am the daughter of a refugee. As a fiction writer, I want to tell you something. I have an agenda. I'm trying to make you Korean. Through characters and plot and point of view and tone and setting. Through recognition and reversal and catharsis. I am hoping that you will become Korean. Because you see, I know that this is what literature can do. Through literature, we cross borders and we become united with the selves we did not know that we could be. And we become reunited with the selves that we have lost. And I believe that this is how we should approach peace. And tonight, I want to thank you for this fellowship. And I wish you peace for you and your families, enduring peace. Thank you.
다음에 소개할 작가와의 대화에서는 이민진 작가의 파친코 작품으로 인해 지금까지 미국 역사상 한 번도 일어나지 않았던 놀라운 기적 같은 일이 일어나고 있음을 청중들과 이야기 나눕니다. 다음 영상에서 자세히 소개해드리겠습니다. 시청해주셔서 감사합니다. 원다였습니다.